What up, what up, what up? It is a early edition of the Shark Cove. It is a solo edition. I've got some things going on later. So I decided to get a lot of this out content early so everybody, has a chance and we can replay it later. But for those of you that are joining early for the live edition, thank you so much. We'll be fielding some questions. We're going to talk about this 5-game slate, see what kind of LCK action we can work into this amongst a couple of good LPL games and kind of see where we can get some advantages and take it from there. So we did have a brief hiatus. It was kind of nice to not have to worry about it too much. Too bad, though. It was too bad that that KF game was not actually on a 5-game slate, because I think they would have been significantly lower owned than almost any team on that slate. As I think the ownership for them would have been next to nothing. And that people here, at the Cove, we play at KF. Now, I didn't want to also go out to my car and grab my headphones, so I have these old school ones. So Baby Goat, if you're watching, I'm sorry. My bad, dude. Let's go ahead. Let's bring up the games. Let's take off this banner and let's go to where we're going to start. First and foremost, we've got the early game. Let's talk about the first game actually on the entire slate, which is going to be the 2 o'clock. Is this right? Is this the first game on the actual slate? Wow. Okay, so we've got a night where we can actually kind of maybe stay up and, kind of get this first game out of the way. This Victory 5 JDG game probably going to be the game that decides, decides a lot, one side or the other. Obviously, Victory 5 is a massive favorite. This is a team that looked a little bit shaky, kind of found their legs, and just have been dispatching top team after top team. And, JDG is not that. Not to say that they're bad, but both of these teams do play a relatively fast-paced, bloody style. You can see it. It's fine. So we've got this one, at least the books do, as a 26.5 over under. Let's see where I have it. Something like that. So I have Victory 5. If they end up getting the win here, between 2 games, getting about 40 kills, maybe 50 over the course of 3, or just under that. JDG, I have them similarly high number, 36 with 9 and a loss. So, one of these 2 teams are most likely to be the one that's going to break the slate. We're going to want to try and find ways to get one of these teams in most of our stacks, but they are going to be over-owned. I just don't know how owned JDG will actually be. I don't think that very many people are going to give them a shot to win this, and quite frankly, that's my first inclination, is that they really don't have a shot. I want to play Victory 5. This is a team that in all of their games, when they win, they do so in quite the bloody manner. As we can see here, when we're looking at what Victory 5 does in wins, it's quite impressive. 18, 26, 24, 19, 22, 17, most recently 23, 25, 22. They had a 14 and a 13 snuck in there, but those are really kind of exceptions. The other part of Victory 5 that I think does go underrated, because we haven't seen it, as they've only lost once, is that they give up a ton of kills even in their wins. With the exception of a handful of these games, you've got games where RNG put up 19. You see a handful of 11s from LNG, 13, 16. Those are the type of scores that you do want from your underdog stack. Now, if that underdog can take a game and win one and get it somewhere in between 22, 23, 24, 25 kills, which is certainly, a ceiling that is achievable by this JDG team, getting 2 more games at 13 and 13, depending on salary, can still make that team pretty close to optimal and beat some of these, relatively lower scoring teams that don't have the same type of pace. As you can see, JDG is a 20 and 20 team, and Victory 5 themselves is a 19 and essentially a 20 and a 16. So, this is the target. I probably will stay up. I didn't realize that, this is typically our 6 o'clock in the morning game, but this is going to be the 2 a.m. game. So maybe I'll fire up the stream. We'll watch this. We'll tilt it together. It'll be a good time. That's kind of what I have, at least on that one. As we go into the next game, let's see. I brought up this new screen. I've got all this cool stuff. Let's just go to the LCK, knock that out of the way. We've got KT DRX. DRX, huge favorites, minus 280. KT, a plus 200. This team has just, they went from a point where we thought maybe they were the third, fourth, fifth best team. They were kind of like that, the cream of the crop in terms of the LCK second tier. Not your Damwon, not your Gen G, not your T1, but the next tier below that. And since we anointed them there, and since we thought that was kind of where they've at, I don't think that they've won a series since that point, and they've just looked really bad the entire time. It's a team that doesn't score very well, and the same can be said in a lot of ways for DRX. This is a 21.5 over-under. It's not a place that a lot of people are going to target, and rightfully so. When we go ahead and peer at some other numbers, we'll take a look and see if that's something that we want to steer clear from, or maybe we want to do a small stack. That's possibly where we're going to head. Looking at this other game, Damwon and Hanwha Life. Hanwha is not a great team. They are missing different pieces, of which we're not even going to be totally sure. We know Sam D is there. Karis is okay unless he tests positive today. And I think Dudu is fine, but we don't know if On Fleek is going to be back, or we're going to see Willer again. We don't know if Vista is going to be back, or it's going to be the other guy. Not totally sure. And I'm not sure how much we really want to play them against Damwon. On the other side of things, Damwon minus 1,000. Massive favorite here in this game, rightfully so. They have their roster, and even though they aren't the flashiest team, they are a team that wins games. They're a good League of Legends team, and 22.5 over under. They did bring up their kill total last series to around 13 or 14 per win. I don't know, man. Like I think some people are going to chase this spot, and I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I don't hate it. Hanwha has just not been a team that gives up a ton of kills, and Damwon's not a team that gets a lot of kills. Weirder, stranger things have happened, but that's probably not where we're starting our process. Moving over back to the LPL, TT and LNG. Here's the thing about LNG, and it's the strangest thing in the world for me, at least, is that LNG, whenever they win, seem to find their way into the optimal almost every single time. And it's not because they're this mega high scoring team. It's quite the contrary. They're a pretty consistent, 80 to 90 points in a win, which is good. But for whatever reason, even though they find themselves constantly on these slates with 5 teams, they manage to, I don't know, put a jinx on everybody else. I mean, maybe they're gratzing and grazing all of the other teams before it happens, and these teams have these, 2-1 low-scoring affairs, and somehow, LNG just slides right in there and gets into the optimal. They're in a great spot against TT. We saw TT, surprise some folks their last time out. I don't know if that's going to happen again. I'm not sure that that's the spot that I want. When we're looking at some of these underdog matchups, as you can kind of get a gist for it, they're not the most attractive spots, and they're not only not attractive, but they don't even feel realistic. Like, can Hanwha beat Damwon? Absolutely. Can they beat them 2 times in a row or 2 out of 3? It's tough. I mean, I know this isn't the same Damwon team, but historically, the way that teams have beat them is by just bringing the fight to them, out skirmishing, putting them in a, position that they're not comfortable with on the back foot. And I don't know if Hanwha has that ability to do that twice in a 3-game series. Likewise against TT or TT against LNG. I mean, the teams that have beaten LNG have been like top tier teams. They've been teams that can fight. They've been teams that can macro. They're teams that can draft lots of different ways. And TT is just not that team. I don't really know how TT wins. I know how they beat FPX, but was that because of TT or was that because of FPX? That's what you have to kind of make the the jump there is which way are you looking at that? This one was 26. This one is a 24.5. So, not as low as the LCK, but certainly not as high as the first one. And then this final game going back to FPX, plus 190 here. BLG has looked shaky at times, but not as shaky as FPX. FPX bringing in a brand new mid laner, just turned 18, didn't even play in the LDL, I don't think. So, I don't know. All the lines that I've looked at, this minus 250, it looks pretty attractive. The minus 1.5 plus 120 looks kind of attractive. I haven't made my decision on that yet, but BLG, for what it's worth, has struggled against some of the top tier teams, and maybe at one point we thought FPX was one of those teams or right below it, a la KT. But for whatever reason, the team stopped gelling. The team didn't react to the meta, or they were ahead of it. And when teams caught up, they just didn't have the talent. When we looked at this FPX team back in November, December, when it was announced who was going to be on this team, we didn't have high hopes for it. I didn't, at least. Maybe you share a different sentiment, but I didn't think that they were going to be that good. And I've talked about that before. When they played in the Demacia Cup, and granted, take it with a grain of salt, they looked good. Then they came out and they beat RNG, which kind of reinforced what we saw previously. And maybe we thought that they were going to be this kind of scrappy team that just knew who their identity was, very similar to, I think, RA last year. That's not been the case. I don't think that is the case. I think what's coming to fruition is what we thought. And there are times where, we're given additional information that isn't always, useful, or we're getting additional information that is contrary to our belief, but maybe it reinforced a belief at an earlier time, but we were given other information that didn't. And I know that was just confusing, but in FPX's case, what I'm getting at is we were thought they were bad. They had a couple shining moments. We decided, maybe they're not. We were wrong. And now they're coming back down to earth. And it's like, well, maybe we were always right and they were just playing out of their minds, or they were getting extremely lucky, or like I said, they were just ahead of the curve. And when people caught up, they just couldn't compete. So as we look at these three games, in terms of which games look bloody, which teams project to get a lot of kills, obviously we talked about that JDG V5 game, and that is 100% the most likely game to be high scoring. But, not that far behind it is going to be BLG and FPX. So if FPX can come through and, get even a ceiling level performance, we talk about this frequently on the show, that dogs need to come in and need to be scrappy. That is a way that you can beat BLG. We've seen it time and time again. Are their coaches smart enough to realize that that's the way that they're going to have to come in and beat them? I don't know. I have no idea. But I think I'm willing to kind of take a shot at it, especially with BLG looking shaky from time to time. I don't hate BLG. I just think that when we're looking at dogs, most people, rightfully so, should look at JDG. But, that is the toughest matchup. So in turn, will they actually look there? Or are people going to go to FPX? I don't know. If you're in the chat, you're watching, tell me who your favorite dog is for the day, at least at this juncture in the day. And, if it is, if you're building three lineups, what dogs are you putting in there for GPPs? Because we do play dogs and GPPs. I'm thinking mentally right now that I feel like FPX has a better chance to win against BLG than JDG does against Victory 5. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe that's why I want to go to them. But if other people have that same belief, then, man, I don't know. I don't know if I want that. Maybe I want to kind of go back to JDG. It's this whole thing that we've got going on in the winner take alls these days, where I don't even think about what my lineup needs to be. I want to think about first what the people that are playing that lineup or playing in that contest are playing, and then what can I play, or what then I think other people are going to think about their lineups, and then how can I put my lineups, and what do they think my lineup's going to be? Are they even thinking about my lineup is the other question. So there's a lot of thinking that goes on through the day, And I don't know if we're going to land on FPX, but when it comes to TT and HLE, those almost feel like they're off the board. Not that anything is in the grand scheme of things, the bigger GPP, but I think the dogs I'm looking at are KT, FPX, and JDG. And that's kind of, I don't know if anybody notices this. And if you do, fantastic. But I try and put the lights on in the background to some type of theme. Like when somebody does a thumbnail on YouTube, I don't do thumbnails. Maybe I should. But a lot of times when there's thumbnails, you get the player, and that player is going to be a central focus in the show or whatever the case is. I've done articles in the past, and I put that player that's going to be highlighted. So I try and put the team colors as close that I can in the lights. And so, JDG, FPX, and KT, possibly DRX, maybe one of those teams is the key to a $20,000 takedown. Maybe they're a key to a $10,000 takedown. Maybe if you're just maxing every contest, you could pull out 40 or 50 grand tonight. I don't know. Somebody could be very, very rich tomorrow morning around this time, because this is usually when they'll pay out. Let's go ahead and take a look at how these lineups move together, how the pieces work, what is going on with this screen at the moment. Fantastic. So I don't understand how Care wasn't added into the playing pool on DraftKings until, early afternoon. Weibo Gaming wasn't on Fantasy Labs for like 6 weeks. I think I've sent like 15 emails. I have the title saved. I could go to contact support, and I have the title saved. It's just in the drop down. It's super easy. I actually had the message saved for a while because I would just copy and paste it and send it every time they played. But somehow, and I'm not complaining, I think this is fantastic, they have Care here in the lineup. So we have them. They've been doing a better job. So I'm going to rescind. I'm not going to rescind, but I'm going to take a non-aggressive stance towards Fantasy Labs, the one that I had earlier in the year. By someone, I mean D-Mort. It's not Nathan. D-Mort's going to win everything, all the money tonight. So if you're watching D-Mort and that happens, you know what my PayPal is. Send me something. I gave you the juice. You got the juice now. So let's take a look at a couple of these. We've been killing it in the cash games, and I know some of you like playing cash games. I like playing cash games, but there's just so many good GPPs. Number one favorite is going to be Damwon, right? So if Damwon's the top favorite, Victory 5's the second favorite, and we get rid of the people aren't playing, what can we get? Can we get something good? Nope, we sure can't. Now, I know the other day we went to a support captain. I don't know if that's going to be necessary today. I'm not sure that that's the play. So, let's take a look at some other things here. Yes, okay. Yes, very much so. Sorry. So let's take a look. What can we get with Damwon? They are the biggest favorite. Can we get LNG? We feel pretty good about LNG, right? No, we're not. I mean, maybe Damwon's just super expensive. Maybe that's what it is. I don't think any of these games are close to a coin flip. Okay, so BLG, you can get a way captain with Breathe, Showmaker, Canyon. I mean, I like this lineup right here. I think you can probably do a couple different things with them. No. Maybe even flip that. Can you get a mid captain? I don't know. Let's take a look. So NBA Live, if you're watching, I know that at one point you asked me how I got some of the settings that I did. It's basically I come into this screen right here. I change the settings. I get rid of the top captain, at least initially. I get rid of the sub captain, at least initially. And then we go ahead and apply the settings. There's a bunch of other stuff that you can do. But this gives me, 10 lines, and it looks like you can do a Fofo captain. So you can do a mid captain with BLG and Damwon. While that doesn't necessarily look like it projects as the highest, it's pretty close. I think even this one right here feels pretty good to me. Just a little bit better than this, even though this is projecting a little bit better. This is 5. Okay. All right. So what about if we were going to go with DRX? I don't know if that's where I want to go, but Yeah, that doesn't feel as good, but you can do just about anything with that. Looks like you can get an ADC captain. So, all right, all right. Well, let's take it a step down. So we're at 505 approximately. 505 gives us the mid captain. This is about a. You can do. Apparently, you can do jungle captains with V5 in Dam 1 too. So lots of stuff on the board. Still same about 505. I don't know if I like it. Oh, it's because it has invincible. Why is he still in the pool? My bad, guys. Let's actually go get rid of all these. Let's get rid of Gory. I don't know why they have River in here. This is cheaper, so if he does play, it'll work. Let's take a look at that again. Okay. All right, we can do it. I don't know if I like many of these lineups, though. Why is XLB in there? Jeez. My bad. I must have skipped the jungler position. All right. I think we figured it out at this point. We've got it. The best dog is yourself. Hey, if you can show me how to play in the thing, I'll do it. Let's see. Dam 1 and Victory 5. Okay, so there still are some jungle captains. I don't know if I really like any of those per se. If we go to, can't do it with them. What about if we go, and I know what you guys love is these two LPLs. You really can't do it there. BLG, LNG, is that possible? No. Victory 5, BLG. Okay. Well, all right. So I think that's kind of the decision that you have then. I think BLG is probably the key. You go Dam 1 and Victory 5, or you can go BLG with either Victory 5 and Dam 1. I'm not crazy about any of these builds right here, just because you are missing, the pieces that I want. I want Photic at least. I want Rookie. You're just not getting that with these. I think that these just feel a little bit better. Who are we getting here? I don't mind if I get Fofo though. Something like this feels good. Something even like this. If we could get rid of Rich, that would be better. But I guess we can't. So those are kind of like where I'm at in cash. Is probably something between those three teams. If we want to take a look at some of the salary saving teams, yeah, Billy's just going to be the cheapest, and that's just a representation of their overall odds. So, yeah, look, this is a quick rundown. It's a solo. There's not a lot of banter back and forth. I know it's the middle of the day. There's not a lot of you watching live, and that's okay. We're going to rebroadcast it later. You can find me in the esports department Discord. If you have any type of questions, you can DM me or on Twitter. Look, I think the interesting questions here for cash, Dam 1, Victory 5, BLG, how do you mix those up? I think I guess, can you do this one? Did we try this? BLG and LNG, not really playable. So those three teams are what you play in cash. In terms of GPP, I think that you want to get a lot of exposure to this game initially. FPX might be a team that you can be a little sneaky on if you feel like their ownership's going to be lower than JDG, which probably should, but I don't know if that's the case. And it appears, though, LNG is super expensive, and I'm not sure that a ton of people will go to them. We say that life finds a way, and we've seen that teams will smash the most expensive teams when they can, but LNG is more expensive than Victory 5 and everywhere except for the mid lane. And I think people are going to prefer to go to Victory 5, just their higher projection. And you can see that between all of these, you've got Victory 5 being higher, about the same there. Victory 5 higher. I mean, it's not that much different, I guess, is the thing that you need to look at. So getting LNG with one of the dogs, whether it's KT or DRX, those are both situations that I think would be advantageous. When we look at this DRX team, they don't get a ton of kills. Neither does KT per se, but they do have that ceiling to be a small stack to play somebody like Aiming or Rascal. I mean, those are the two guys that you like playing in that lineup. So that might be a way to go. So yeah, look, we love to smash the LCK here. If I'm going to play an LCK team, the team that I'm looking at as a dog is KT. As a favorite, it's Damwon. I think that LNG and FPX could be a fantastic little combo. But obviously the two big dogs, we're not like big like dogs, but like the two big plays, Victory 5, JDG. You don't need me to tell you that. But I guess what I'm saying is try and work in LNG. They're going to be under own relative to Victory 5, and that's going to be probably one of the best leverage spots for a favorite. Victory 5 still ends up probably the most fantasy points on the slate in a win, but LNG can certainly best them. And if you want to get crazy, go ahead with TT. If you're looking at a game stack, and it's obviously that first one, Victory 5 JDG. Again, you can find me in the Discord. You can find me on Twitter at EmrichD4U. And then we might be back at like 2 a.m. to kind of live stream our watching the games. Can't actually co-stream the games, but if that's something you'd want, hit me up, drop it in the comments. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, like the video. Appreciate y'all for being here. I'll see you around.